It was early morning in the quiet town of Louisiana, Louisiana. Callie Brunett hadn't answered her phone, her car was gone, and no one had seen her or her daughters since the day before. Her father, concerned but not yet alarmed, stopped by her home to check in. What he found inside would mark the beginning of a nightmare. The home was still. Something was very, very wrong. Within minutes, he was on the phone to 911. But by the time deputies arrived, they weren't just searching for a missing person. They were unraveling a horror scene in real time. A young mother gone, 2 children nowhere to be found, and one man's name that would soon spread out across state lines. The Amber Alert would go live before noon, but were they already too late? By the way, this is Dark Case, and you can call me Jack. I bring you rare and unseen true crime cases, as well as some other things that you may later regret knowing, with multiple uploads every single week. So if any of that sounds like your kind of thing, make sure you join the Dark Case family now by hitting subscribe and turning all notifications on. And now for today's silly little question. If you had the chance to be president or prime minister of your country, would you take the job? I would not. Let me know down in the comments. All of your support over on Patreon, as well as right here via channel memberships on YouTube are so appreciated, and I really can't thank you all enough. However, thank you. But now, on with the video. Callie Jo Brunett had last been seen alive on the evening of Tuesday, June the 11th, 2024. She was taking out the trash. Nothing unusual. Just another night in a quiet trailer that she shared with her 2 daughters. 6-year-old Jalie and 4-year-old Erin. Her family tried calling her the next day, which was Wednesday, June the 12th, but they didn't hear back. Callie was a loving mom and usually she was responsive, but maybe she was just busy. Maybe she'd nipped out. After all, her car wasn't at the house, so they assumed that she wasn't either. But that night, unease turned into dread. Her phone was switched off. Her social media had gone strangely silent. And then by Thursday morning, her father made a decision to check the home in person. And what he found inside would tear the family's lives apart forever. Inside the home, Callie's body lay on the floor, covered in red. The room showed signs of a struggle. She had defensive wounds, which meant that she had fought back. Police would later confirm that she'd been injured over 50 times. Most of the markings were concentrated on the head, neck, chest, and abdomen. Whoever had done this had done it with rage. But the horror didn't end there, and in a way, this case was only just getting going. Both of Callie's daughters were missing, and so was her black 2012 Chrysler 200. Within just minutes of officers arriving, the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff requested an Amber Alert. The clock was already ticking. At 12:28 p.m., Louisiana State Police released the alert. They named an unknown white male as the person of interest in a DV incident connected to Callie's death. That man would soon be identified as Daniel Callihan. A 36-year-old with a disturbing past and a far more disturbing plan.
Right now they're gathering, trying to get information. We're assuming about the homicide that took place in and around this area. Again, Callie Brunett was found dead in this home this morning, and right now they're trying to find the location of her 2 daughters, 6-year-old Jalie and 4-year-old Erin. There are a lot of questions surrounding how she died, the circumstances surrounding it. Right now, they're also searching for, and if you can put up this picture, I'm talking to the folks back at the station here, take a look at your screen again. They're also trying to find a car. This is Callie Brunett's car. It's a 2012 Chrysler 200 with Louisiana plates 859 GML.
Within hours of discovering Callie's body, the full weight of state and federal law enforcement was mobilized. The Amber Alert described daughters Erin and Jalie and the missing Chrysler 200, which had Louisiana plates 859 GML. And of course, let's not forget Daniel Callihan. He had a violent history, and he had ties to the Louisiana area. The alert spread across Louisiana and into neighboring Mississippi. Authorities feared the girls could already be across state lines. And it turns out they were right. Law enforcement began tracking cell signals, searching wooded areas, and interviewing anyone who had seen Callie or Callahan in the previous 48 hours. Callie's family told investigators that she had been inconsistent with communication since Tuesday night. Some even received strange messages from her Facebook account. In them, she was asking for money through Cash App. One of those people that received a message was Callahan's own sister, and she quickly realized that something wasn't right. She told the police that the messages seemed like they were in fact coming from Daniel and not Callie. Meanwhile, in Jackson, Mississippi, over 120 miles away, officers responded to a suspicious person call. A man matching Callahan's description had been seen wandering near a wooded area on Bouzier Drive, checking out nearby homes. As officers approached, Callahan took off running. However, he wouldn't get far. Once arrested and in custody, he made a chilling comment: "I'll show you where they are." As news of the case spread, so did a question that would haunt the Brunett family and the Loranger community. How was this man even free in the first place? Daniel Callihan wasn't a ghost in the system. He had a criminal history dating back nearly 2 decades. Most of it was in the Tangipahoa parish. It began in 2006 with a simple burglary charge, for which he got probation, but he violated it almost immediately. In 2008, he was arrested for assaulting a family member, and then again for theft and aggravated battery. That time, he and a relative attacked someone with a mason jar. In 2009, he racked up more charges for burglary, unauthorized entry, and more theft. And again in 2010, though that charge was eventually dropped. By 2014, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison, which included a mandatory rehab. But after his release, there were no serious charges on record, but still his own family had concerns. His sister, Dixie Hemphill, what a cool name, later told reporters that she had warned police about her own brother. She said that Daniel was a mastermind at crime and that he was capable of serious violence. She felt that her real concerns were ignored.
I think he should literally get what he's been asking for. He shouldn't be able to ever hurt another human life, not a grown-up, not a child, not nobody, because he will.
I need someone to take us serious because look what happened. And y'all think, and Lincoln County said there was no merit to him killing anyone. But yet they diagnosed him with seeing hallucinations and being schizophrenic and just let him walk up out of them doors.
But how was Daniel Callihan related to Callie? Well, she had actually known him. In fact, they had dated on and off. She likely knew some of his history, but nobody, not even his own sister, could have imagined exactly what he was planning. Daniel just slipped through the cracks in a devastating manner. After the arrest, officers followed Callahan's directions to a car parked in the woods. Inside that vehicle, they found Jalie Brunett. Thankfully, she was alive and breathing, but she was injured. She'd been left alone for hours. Authorities rushed her to the hospital. And then came the second location, about 30 yards behind a nearby house. There, in a shallow pit near the edge of the woods, they found Erin Brunett, sadly already gone. She had been suffocated, likely sometime the day before.
There is an overwhelming sense of shock and disbelief in Loranger, a small God-fearing community in rural Tangipahoa Parish.
I've been here 45 years and don't know of anything like this happening ever, especially to a child, but even Callie, she didn't deserve that. No, none of them did.
Callie Brunett was found dead in her home Thursday morning. Her 2 young daughters were abducted and found hours later in Mississippi. 4-year-old Erin was dead. 6-year-old Jalie, thankfully, still alive.
It really is just crazy that you grow up with somebody and you haven't seen them in a while, and then all of a sudden you see them on the news that they got murdered or hurt really bad, and it's just sad.
We're sad. We never thought that it happened in a community like this, because we're a tight-knit community.
But even in the tightest of communities, sometimes bad things happen.
For us, having children of my own and knowing Callie and her babies, it's a lot. It's hard. It's hard for everybody right now. We're all trying to pull together and be there for them.
In Loranger, everyone knows just about everyone here, but no one appears to have known Daniel Callihan, the man accused of killing Callie and Erin Brunett.
I don't know anything about the man that was there. I've never met him before.
I'm a Christian person, but I know God's got his hands on this, but in my heart, my flesh wants to just want the worst for this man.
The scene devastated even the most hardened investigators. We didn't come to work to see this today. The words of Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade. He added, as a father, it was sickening.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I want to first start by sending my prayers and condolences to the victims and their families of this heinous act of violence here in the city of Jackson. I want to keep all families uplifted in prayer who have been impacted by crime here in the city of Jackson. Crime impacts us all, directly and indirectly. Daniel Callihan and Victoria Cox brought horror and unthinkable terror to the city of Jackson. These individuals were a threat to those kids, which means they were a threat to all of our children. What I saw in the woods in South Jackson is something you never want to see as a chief and as a father. We will hold these individuals accountable. Let me repeat, we will hold these individuals accountable for their actions.
Chief Wade described finding animal cages, wire enclosures, and other signs that the wooded property may have been used for human trafficking. This was a location where something terrible had happened, maybe where other terrible things have happened too, he said. Callahan allegedly confessed to officers immediately, but the details didn't stop coming out there. He also told investigators that he had planned to keep Jalie alive because he wanted to use her as a slave. None of these were the ramblings of someone confused or unaware. They were cold and deliberate. And just like that, what had started as a missing persons alert was now the worst kind of confirmed tragedy. A mother and her daughter both gone. Another traumatized and injured, but a surviving witness. Daniel Callihan had been caught, and the legal reckoning was only just beginning.
Sharice, yeah, as you said, we are here on Bouger Drive in Jackson, where detectives say they were able to locate the suspect, the victim's car, as well as the two girls who were missing all day. And then again, as you said, tragically, we learned that one of them passed away. Now, this normally would be a quiet, dead-end street, but we've been here since about 6 this evening. It's been anything but. As you can see behind me, it's still a very active scene. The Tangipahoa Sheriff's Office says 35-year-old Callie Brunett was found dead in her Loranger home Thursday morning. Her father came to check on her after the family hadn't heard from Brunett since Tuesday night. When he arrived, his daughter was dead and her car and 2 young children were missing. By Tuesday afternoon, an Amber Alert was issued for Erin and Jalie Brunett. U.S. Marshals were able to track the car 2 hours north to Jackson, Mississippi.
There was a suspicious suspect checking houses or whatever, checking doorknobs and stuff like that. So after getting the description of him, there was a marshal or undercover officer in the area that saw this guy, went to apprehend him. He fled. There was a foot pursuit. He was apprehended.
The suspect is 36-year-old Daniel Callihan. And we were told tonight that the grandparents were en route to Jackson to be with the big sister. We were also told by Jackson police that this investigation has been turned over to the FBI, and there are dozens of FBI agents on scene tonight. Reporting live in Jackson, Lily Cummings, WWI.
Not everyone was surprised by what Daniel Callihan had done. In fact, his sister, Dixie, said she had warned the police months earlier. She told reporters that Daniel had a history of escalating violence, that he wasn't just a petty criminal, but that he had dark fantasies, and he made threats that made her fear for anyone close to him. He's smart, she said, too smart for his own good, but he's always been dangerous. and I told someone. Dixie claimed that she reached out to authorities after a disturbing conversation with her brother. She says that he had become obsessed with certain violent ideas, that he was off of his medication, and that he had recently mentioned someone that he wanted to hurt. But she says that the police did not follow up on her concerns. So to her, Daniel wasn't just a monster that came out of nowhere. He was a fuse that had been lit years ago that nobody wanted to put out. And when that flame finally reached the powder, the explosion would take so much with it.
The sister of Callie Brunett sat down with me on behalf of the entire family, speaking about the investigation, the outpouring of support, the criminal case against the man accused of killing her sister Callie and Erin. And she had this message.
Today I am making a statement on behalf of my mom and dad, Tommy and Debbie Brunett, myself and my family. This has been an extremely devastating time for my family. No one could even imagine. We are forever changed in the worst possible way. There is something to be said about a small town. Our community has shown us so much love and support. We feel you grieving with us. No words can express our sincerest thanks to them and to the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Department, the Ronja Fire Department, Louisiana State Police and Crime Lab, Coroner's Office, FBI, MBI, U.S. Marshals, Mississippi State Police, Jackson Police Department, and Baton Children's Hospital. Finally, we would like to thank Harry McNeely Funeral Home, Lance and Erica, for guiding us through this with such thoughtful care of each detail. Lastly, we can't help but wonder if only the Amber Alert had gone out sooner, could it have been life-saving? We are hopeful changes are made to the Amber Alert process. To the reporters that interviewed that monster and to the station that aired it, shame on you. Shame on you for giving him a platform. Shame on you for making my family suffer even more. Callie and Erin, we will think of you always and celebrate you often.
There would also be revelations that someone else was involved. When police arrested Victoria Cox on June the 14th, she was found at a motel in Jackson, just miles away from where Erin's body had been recovered. Daniel Callihan had actually picked her up in Amides, Louisiana, shortly after ending Callie. By the time they all arrived in Mississippi, both of the girls were already in the car. Cox told investigators that when she last saw the two girls, they were both still alive. But according to courtroom documents, she did participate in attacks on Jalie, and she made no attempt to stop what was happening. She pleaded not guilty to all charges, including capital murder, kidnapping, and sexual battery. But the details in the indictment painted a disturbing picture, and now she's accused of helping Daniel carry out one of the most horrific crimes the Gulf South had seen in decades. Her case is still making its way through the court system in Mississippi, so bear in mind everything I've said is alleged. Who knows, she could be found innocent.
We were in La Ronja all day trying to track down the family of Victoria Cox to learn more about who she is. I did go to her last known address, and that visit was not so pleasant. I spoke to people in this community both on and off camera. They tell me they've seen her around but don't know much about her.
It's just like, how could she do that?
As 32-year-old Victoria Cox faces charges in a multi-state murder case, people who live near her home say they are shocked to learn about her alleged role.
We can't believe, all this happened.
Multiple neighbors tell WDSU Cox has lived in La Ronja a long time, and she's a mother of 3 that has been seen several times in the neighborhood.
How can she look at her own babies and then go and hurt someone else's babies like that?
Records show Victoria Cox's last known address is less than a mile from Callie Brunett's home on the same road. Last week, Brunett was found dead and her daughters were abducted before one of them was also killed. I went to that address of Victoria Cox to get answers, but people at the home first said they would not comment. And when the camera began rolling, we're going to get out of here. We're just trying to figure out, is this where Victoria Cox lives?
No, it is not.
It's not. Are you related to Victoria Cox at all? The Tangipahoa Hope Parish Sheriff's Office confirms this home is the only known address for Cox. Some neighbors confirmed details about her, but denied on-camera interviews, fearing retaliation from her family. One neighbor in the area says he doesn't know her, but hearing of a person playing a role in a child's death is unspeakable.
So they went to Mississippi, killed the baby, and I don't even want to hear what they did to the baby.
Neighbors say the death of Callie and her little girl was already heartbreaking, but learning one of the people that allegedly assisted was living just up the road is something they can't wrap their minds around.
You just can't imagine something like that happening. It's painful, extremely painful.
The Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office tells me prior to this incident, Victoria Cox was only in trouble with the law for a shoplifting case. Reporting Tangipahoa Parish, Jonah Gilmore.
Within hours of his arrest, Daniel Callihan was booked into the Rankin County Jail in Mississippi. He was held under constant supervision and flagged as a risk to himself. But Daniel made one thing clear. He didn't want to do anything to himself. He wanted the state to do it for him. He said, "For what I did, lethal injection is the easiest thing for me. I would kill me." He waived his rights, spoke openly to investigators, and even gave a televised confession on the way to jail. He told reporters that he had been sober when he did what he did. However, he did still blame Lexapro. He blamed his mental illness and his own lack of self-control.
Question here live at 6 o'clock. Callahan, do you have anything to say?
I would like to
Erin Brunett.
Unfortunately, on Lexapro, sober, no in my system, I did.
Why? Why did you kill the girl?
I have no reason for what I did. All I know is I want to say I was sober and only on Lexapro and off Lexapro, and I'm also diagnosed borderline with the multiple personality disorder, and I have not got to talk to a lawyer, and I'm also watch, but I'm not suicidal. But I think it was the side effects of the Lexapro.
Did you kill her mom?
His mom.
Erin's mom.
I'm at Rankin County Jail if y'all would like an interview.
Do you regret what you did?
Completely.
You regret what you did?
I would kill me, and I have told them everything that I did, and I have agreed to not fight it, speedy trial, and whatever it is.
You hope for the death penalty?
For what I did, lethal injection is the easiest thing for me.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
No, I'm not pretending to be crazy. Look me up in Region 8, borderline multiple personality disorder. You better look it up.
So you have no...
Crazy. I'm certified. I was only at Nut House 2 weeks now.
In his first interview, he described multiple sharp impacts to Callie inside her Loranga home. He said it was something he had wanted to do for a while. He also admitted to stealing her car, disposing of her phone, and driving both of her children across state lines. He says that in Amite, Louisiana, he picked up his alleged accomplice, Victoria Cox, who at the time was 32, and whom he had recently been in a relationship with. Together, they drove the children to a house in Jackson, Mississippi, where prosecutors alleged that both of the adults carried out a violation. At some point around that time, Daniel ended Erin's time on this earth, and then he left her in the woods.
You might say it's the saddest of all situations. And we're here today to do what we can do as far as defending Mr. Callahan.
The crimes literally rocked the small town. Monday, Tangi officials announced Callahan will also be charged for his role in an unrelated simple arson that occurred at a shed in a meat and separate burglary incident.
As a resident of the area, as a father, and as a concerned citizen, my first reaction, was, well, my hearts go out to the family.
Prosecutors say given the extent of the crimes, the brutal murders that span 2 states, seeking the death penalty is most appropriate.
The crime has been reported extensively with the facts. I certainly don't want to get into that again, but we felt like it was an appropriate case for eventually for a jury to consider capital punishment.
On June the 21st, just over a week after the murders, a grand jury in Tangipahoa Parish indicted Daniel Callihan and Victoria Cox on multiple charges: first-degree murder, 2 counts, aggravated kidnapping, second-degree kidnapping, and armed robbery. Mississippi quickly followed, charging both with capital murder, sexual battery, and kidnapping. And then came the federal charges, the most serious of all. Daniel was indicted for kidnapping resulting in death and transportation of a minor with intent to engage in sexual activity. Both carry a mandatory life sentence or death. But in August, Daniel pleaded guilty in federal court. In exchange, prosecutors agreed not to seek the death penalty. He accepted a minimum life sentence and agreed to not appeal. Even so, state prosecutors in Louisiana and Mississippi are still pursuing the death penalty. Federal prison will come last. The states want their turn first. In the weeks after the murders and the attacks, Callie and Erin were laid to rest in a private service in Loranga. The family asked for privacy. They also released a statement through Callie's sister, Brandy. It said, "We are devastated. Our only focus now is raising Jalie in a home full of safety and love." A GoFundMe was created to support her care and to help the Brunett family navigate what lies ahead. A trust has been set up in Jalie's name. When Daniel Callihan appeared in court and pleaded guilty, the judge took a moment to thank the family. They had agreed to the plea deal. They just wanted some finality. Daniel Callihan should be sentenced to life in federal prison this November, and before that he'll face the Louisiana and Mississippi charges, where he could face capital punishment. It seems that justice is coming, but for the Brunett family, the damage is already done. Be careful out there, and I'll see you soon.